and it is an honor to be a host today. Today, we are privileged to have Ms. Priya Barik ma'am, an aspiring forensic expert, to enlighten us on this intriguing topic, uncovering the secrets of forensic entomology, decomposition, case studies, and future prospects. Ms. Priya Barik ma'am is currently pursuing her Master in Forensic Science at Centurion University of Technology and Management. Participants, you're encouraged to engage active throughout the session and address your queries via chat box. Now, let us begin the session and make the learning opportunity. Ma'am, you can start the session.
Thank you, Raksha ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. By the way, I have completed my master's last year. So, starting off with the session. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, as the topic, we will be covering the forensic entomology part. Going to the decomposition, followed by contributions in crime investigation and its future aspects. So, here, forensic entomology. Entomology is the study of insects, and when it comes to forensic, it is the study of insects in relation in the medical legal investigation. When we use the insects morphology, studying of insects, its uh, contribution to the medical legal investigations by studying the decomposition stages or the cycle of insects and the cadavers. Here, forensic entomology is the study of insects and other arthropods in relation to criminal investigation. The presence, life cycle, development of insect populations on the cadavers that we get from the primary crime scene or the secondary crime scene can provide a crucial information regarding the time and cause of death. So, how how does it helps in crime investigation? How does insects play their role? Here, the presence, life cycle, and development of insect population on decomposing body provides a crucial information regarding time and cause of death, which provides a valuable tool for forensic experts, law enforcement, in solving crimes, particularly involving unexplained or suspicious death. So, first, linking evidence to the crime scene. Here, experts analyze the insect patterns, species to connect biological evidence found at crime scene to victim remains, thereby establishing links in investigation. Here, what happens? Um, we use the insects that are found at the on the cadaver at the time of at the time when we or the sorry officers get the body. It might be the decomposition at the early stage, might be in the later stage. So depending upon the type of insect, the species found on the cadaver, the expert analyze the insects, study their DNA pattern sequencing, and then make their reports. Estimation of time since death by studying insect colonization and developmental stages. Expert estimates the PMI that helps expert determine the time since death or the post-mortem interval, or also known as the PMI. Here, what happens? The insect succession. We are also call it as the wave of insect colonization. The multifaceted process includes several distinct stages from the initial attraction of blowflies, followed by flesh flies during the fresh stage, to eventually arrival of scavenging beetles in the dry remain stage or the last stage of the decomposition, where only skeletons are present. The arrival of different insects at a specific interval of time is known as the wave of insect colonization, which is also affected by temperature, maybe the weather condition over there, or the condition of the body itself. Condition of the body means might be there's a chance that the body at the time of that might get intoxicated, or might have got a blunt injury trauma or an incised wound. So it all contributes all together to the arrival of the insects, the type of species it attracts, and also the area. If we normally see uh, the places where we live in, and if we travel to a village during holidays, we might see different species. Maybe that might be a housefly, but it will be a different morphology. So insects does have a species or a family which belongs uh, um, and so different while investigating the PMI or deciphering the PMI, in expert has to include all these conditions before reporting the exact PMI. Not the exact but accurate PMI. We cannot get a precise PMI because of multiple weather conditions, maybe temperature conditions. So this all has to be included while calculating the PMI to get accuracy. Stages of decomposition. Is it visible? visible, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Here comes the first stage of decomposition, or the fresh stage, also known as. This stage generally occurs within 0 to 3 days immediately after the death. Immediately after the death, the body vital function ceases and the body begins to cool. This fresh stage can be characterized by the early insect colonizer. So, as I mentioned before, the wave of insect colonization. So, the first wave of insect colonization starts from the fresh stage of decomposition. Generally, the blowfly are the first arrival at at any of the body. Mostly, the blowflies are seen. Um, these blowflies are attracted to the body due to the release of bodily fluids and gases. These blowflies, what they do, they hatch their eggs over there, which in turn develop into a larval stage, which begins to feed the tissue of the corpse or the cadaver. Then the bloating stage. This bloating stage generally occurs from the 4 to 6 days, and also to be mentioned, uh, those decomposition stage varies at different temperatures, different conditions, different environment. All this matters because in when we see in a warm weather, the decomposition uh, processes get accelerated, while in winters they slow down the process. The winter, it slows down the decomposition process. So we have to that's why we have to include all this temperature weather conditions while reporting for the TMA. The bloating stage, here at the first stage, as we show the fresh stage, this is what happens. The protein or the carbohydrates begins to um, break up into compounds, whereas in the bloating stage, here the tissues or the internal organs, they get further decomposed, releasing plenty of gases like methane, hydrogen sulfide, sulfur, ammonia, etc., which accumulates inside the body, causing to bloat the body. This typically marked by continued presence of blowfly larvae. This thrive in the decomposing flesh. Other insects such as beetles may begin to colonize. Then the active decay stage. These generally start to from the seventh day to 20 days. During this phase, the body begins to lose its mass as larvae feed on the soft tissue. In the active decay stage, what happens? The skin of the cadaver get ruptures, and all the bodily fluids, internal organs, everything comes out, which invites or attracts more of the insects to feed upon it, and thus accelerating the decomposition of the cadaver. This is the time where you'll find plenty amount of insects or variety of species of insects. Excuse me, Miss Raksha. Uh, am I not clearly audible?
Ma'am, are you in the empty room? Your voice is like that. That's it.
Not in an empty room. Let me see.
Yes, ma'am, you're clear. No problem. We can continue.
Okay. And, here what happens, you will observe a plenty amount of a variety of insect species during this stage, which leads to this rupturing of the skin provides plenty enough of nutrients to the soil. This localized area of organelle rich matter is called the cadaver decomposition island. This The cadaver decomposition island is nothing but the nutrient, the plenty amount of nutrient that gets released out from the cadaver into the surrounding soil, providing nutrients to the nearby surrounding, which alters the soil pH. It might also favors the growth of new microbes. It favors certain microbes or insect species while it declines the other species growth. Due to the alteration of the pH of the soil, the temperature, the moisture content, it creates an altered condition for the vegetations nearby, which might support a growth of pioneer vegetation, or it might end up drying up of the surrounding vegetation. The dissolution of barrier promotes microorganism growth and breaks in the soil skin allow air and additional microorganisms, insects and scavengers to gain access. The advanced decay or the uh, post decay stage, which generally seen within 21 to 30 days of decomposition. At this stage, many of the byproducts like cadaver putrescence contributes to the characteristic smell of the corpse. This cadaverine or putrescence is nothing but a foul smelling like liquid or solids that are produced during the decomposition of the proteins or nutrients inside the body due to the bacterial activity generally. So eventually most of the cadavers, fluids and mass transfer into the ground, and scavenging animals, the deep the speed of the decomposition slows. Maggots migrate away, scavenging activity is reduced. The cadaver decomposition island shows death of immediate plant life from the overload of cadaver components or the overload of excessive nutrients that get released from the cadaver. And here what happens, some insects that comes later on, they also feed upon resilient substances like hair, bones, nails, etc. The dry remains or the skeletal stage, it generally crosses over 1 month. In the final stage of decomposition, the body is reduced and only the dried bones and skin remains. Plant life around the Sidiana begins to surge from the cadaver nutrients, which may influence the ecosystem for years following death. At this point, only a few hardy insect species like beetles that feed on the bones might be observed here. as mentioned, the time frame of decomposition is dependent on temperature and moisture. A corpse or a cadaver will decay much faster in a warm, humid climate than it will during a dry, cold winter. Similarly, if a body is buried, access by worms, insects, and scavengers may be limited. Also, if a body is covered by a cloth or it is buried inside the soil, putting the body inside a casket or a coffin, then it also limits the in what yeah, in limits the insects or worms or scavengers, thus slowing down the process of decomposition. Role of insect in decomposition. Insects are indicators of decomposition. Insects serve as a key indicators as their presence and diversity can help forensic scientists estimate the time since death and understand the decomposition environment. Anthropod succession pattern. It refers to sequential colonization of insects with different species arriving at specific stages of decomposition, aiding in the breakdown of organic matters. Detection of drug. In case if a body is intoxicated before death or might have intoxicated at the time of death. In such a case, we can detect the presence of drug by testing the insects. For example, experts analyze the insects found on the cadaver, which this study is known as entomotoxicology. Here, what happens? The insects that are mm, generally found, they are analyzed by the experts for the presence of heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, or any other toxin that might have been present or maybe not, because we don't know. We just get the skeletonized organs or the skeleton bones from the crime scene, so we don't have any idea whether it might have been intoxicated, it might not. But as an expert, we have to analyze. So here, what happened? The insect samples are processed for extraction of the drugs and might have been um, yeah. Then the extracted samples are then analyzed in the JCMS. It is the whole process is the same as we do in the toxicology part. We visceral samples, when the we get the visceral samples, we test go through processes of extraction, solvent extraction or something. It's whole process is the same for the detection of drug here. So the what happens, the drug, when the insects starts to feed upon the tissues, the drugs that might have been present in the body or the corpse, it gets accumulated in the larva and thus affecting the age cycle and development of the insects. These drugs that might have been present or any of the condition of the prior condition, might be some health condition, this also affects the life cycle of the insects. So before reporting the PMI, we have to go through the history of the sorry, history of the body that might be having any health related issues, or might have been taking any drug, or might have been intoxicated before the time of death. Presence of wound. In case of an injury formed by a gun or a sharp object or blunt force, the insect crawled through the injury inside the body. Firstly, before bloating even starts, the flies generally enters the body, lays their egg, nearby the orifices or the openings. So if there's a possible injury marks on the body, we might see the injury marks also provide a surface area for the insects to enter the tissue. So from there also we can decipher if any injury might have been present or not. If body was transferred, in case uh, where criminals attempts to hide a body in areas or move it to different locations from the primary crime scene to a secondary crime scene maybe. So here what happens, the insects that might have been found in a specific area might have traveled inside the body to another area where the chances of insects found at that particular like at the secondary crime scene may not be so relevant as compared to the primary crime scene, thus indicating the transfer of the body. Also helps determining the habitat of the primary crime scene. So let's assume if certain insects are more likely to be found in a particular environment, such as woody areas or urban or the rural areas. These help investigators in pinpointing the location of the body. Here, what happens? We have to do a research. We have so before analyzing, the entomologist or the expert should have the brief idea about the nearby area or the surroundings. That study on insects, that what possible insect species might be present in the particular area, so that he can properly decipher the habitat of the primary crime scene. So here is the common flies and beetles that are found on the cadaver. This is the blue fly, which is commonly belonging to the family of Califora. The flesh fly or the uh, flies that feeds upon the flesh or the tissues. These two are generally most commonly found at the early stage of the decomposition, at the fresh stage or the bloating stage. Later on, during the active decay stage or the dry stage, we get to see these kind of beetles. That is also like hide beetles or the carrion beetles or the scavenger beetles also. Here is the life cycle of blowfly. This duration that after laying of the egg and then uh, going through the three larval stage and finally converting into the pupa. It have a specific interval of time. It takes a few hours to few days, and the whole process takes almost 6 days to 1 week. So from this we can like the experts can decipher how long the body might have started decomposing or time of death. They decipher through the study at which stage of the larva is at. It is at the first stage or the second stage of larva or the third stage of larva. And this life cycle is for every each type of species that comes to feed upon the cadaver. So depending up then studying on it, like studying on the morphology, studying on the DNA, which species, the studying the gene sequencing of the species, the experts decipher which species is the present in the cadaver, at what stage it is. Through that, it provides the PMI. Then the case study, we have the first case as the 2007 murder case in Bihar. Here, what happened in a body was found, like a female body was found in a village in Bihar. At first, there was no clear signs of foul play, or the police are struggling to decipher the cause of death. But eventually, when the expert examined the body, he find out the blowfly on the body, indicating the PMI. Through that, the developmental stage, he studied the developmental stage of the blowfly, and then he narrowed down the murder case, and thus providing a crucial a crucial evidence for the body that showed that it has moved from the body was transferred from a primary crime scene to the secondary crime scene, and thus leading to the arresting of the suspect. Then 2010 murder case, it was also in a same process of decomposition, where a college student in Delhi was found. Here also the expert studied on the larval stage and found out that the body was dead, a 4 to few weeks um, since the body the death might have been happened. And due to the environmental factors such as temperature, the body began to accelerated the actually the decomposition stage accelerated due to the warm weather. And here the last murder case of 2012 in Rajasthan. It was the case where a conflict happened between two personnel, and that led to the murder of the victim. The future prospect, future of enhanced accuracy and reliability. This accuracy and reliability needs research. Like in India, there has not been much research done on the forensic entomology. So this area needs more research to decipher and or to make it more reliable for the forensic in the field of forensic. So there is advanced DNA analysis. Here the DNA analysis that is done in the insects found on the cadaver helps in deciphering the PMI or the cause of death. Integration of technologies, the new technologies or softwares that might help in determining the uh, PMI more accurately or more precisely. Researchers are still working on it for the advanced software and database that can predict the rate of decomposition. Here, what are the behavior of insects in specific environmental conditions? The study has been done on it by incorporating the variations like humidity, temperature, locations. These tools could enhance the precision. Should rigor more of the research needs to be done on the uh, field of entomology so that we can enhance the precision of the PMI estimation and then make the process faster and more reliable. And here we can also collaborate with the different departments of forensic like the pathologist or the microbiologist or the chemist to offer more comprehensive insights into the crime investigation. This will help understand the decomposition stages, the processes, and the life cycle of various species. We have a wide range of species. By studying on it, it can lead to more accurate crimes in reconstructions or finding out the cause of gaps in challenges, gaps in knowledge and resources. That's what in India only from the late 19th and early 20th century, this future of forensic entomologist has been introduced in the field of forensics. So that's more years to go on. So we don't have much resources and technology, so still it's on the developing stage. So these are the challenges that we might face in providing an precise PMI. And environmental influences, as I have earlier discussed, the temperature, conditions, moisture, the condition of the body, and then weather condition. This all influences the PMI. So the expert, whoever is analyzing the PMI or reporting the PMI, should take into consideration, or it might cause a vast difference. Say, in case of intoxicated body, where maybe the body might have been intoxicated by a heroin or a morphine. In such a case, if the expert doesn't consider that, then it might what happens, the process of the uh, decomposition, it delays for 8 hours to 24 hours or more than that. So that has to be studied, or it might be a challenging part. Standardization, validation, and of course through research and the standardization of a particular through research or the study of insects, how it affects the environment, the cadaver decomposition stages, the weather conditions, everything leads to the proper reporting of a PMI. And with the session, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an thought-provoking and enlightening session. Now, let's move on to the Q&A session. Participants, you can address your queries via chat box. Participants, if you have any queries, you can address in the chat box.
I hope I was able to deliver the topic properly.
Yes, ma'am. There is no doubts. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this session, and I would like to thank all the participants for their valuable time. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Raksha ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, so there is a question. What will be the decomposition difference between fish body and head of the goat? Should I repeat the question?
See, the decomposition doesn't it does depends upon the surface area that is provided. Since you have mentioned here the decomposition of fish body and the head of a goat, like I can't properly explain you, but I think the decomposition process will be the same. But in case of fish body, um, if we consider the fish might have been due to some condition, it might have been died in the river itself. If it is a flowing water, then there's a high chance that the decomposition stage will not be as faster as in case of a head of a goat, which is um, in the land area or over the water area. So I hope you are getting my point. Like what happens in water, the adipose formation occurs in the body. It generally occurs where fats, when the fat portion in the body is excessive. So in case of the body, if the body is a stagnant water, then the decomposition will be the same. It's just the process will be a little slower than the body present in the land. If it is in case of a flowing water, then the body's decomposition stage might be at a pause due to the formation of adipose cell. I hope you got your answer.
Ma'am, another question. Actually, is the scales of fish decomposes like the horn of goat?
I have no idea on the scale decomposition, dear. Sorry.
Participants, any other queries? Okay, there is no queries. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Raksha ma'am. And also, Kapil, if you are present here, very grateful and very thankful to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.